Well, here we are with Thea Musgrave and her husband, Peter Mark. Thank you so much for spending a few moments talking about your wonderful work, Turbulent Landscapes. Um, as you know, Thea, the Sinfonia Pro Musica is a community orchestra, almost all volunteer. It's very ambitious and quite accomplished because many of the players have professional musical training but are working in other professions. We have some
Oh,
students
wow.
and we have some very accomplished amateurs. And so we are very ambitious. We do Mahler symphonies and Bruckner symphonies and also a number of contemporary works. I've been wanting to program Turbulent Landscapes for many years, back to 2004 when I heard it with the Boston Symphony in the premiere. And
Right.
and then I heard it at the Edinburgh Festival, you might remember. And then I tried to perform it twice. It got canceled because of the pandemic. So we feel like it's been a long journey just to get to this point.
What a story.
And you know, it's such a compelling work. Turner, of course, is everybody's everybody's favorite painter, English Romantic painter, and so his paintings are so moving and compelling, and to have a work that's your vision of those paintings, some of those paintings in music, is just so special. So thank you for writing the work. Thank you to the Boston Symphony for inspiring or commissioning you to
Well,
do that.
and thank you for
And
performing it.
thank you for your connections with Boston and with the United States. Let me start by a question. You dedicated each of the six movements to American friends, and
Yes.
and the first one is dedicated to Ellen and Roger Gold, who we are very close mutual friends of ours. And so, how did that come about? How did you happen to choose to do that?
What, to choose friends or to
Well,
choose?
to choose to dedicate it to friends, and then, the particular
Well,
friends as well.
mine was to choose the paintings that I wanted to
Right.
do. But more important is the fact that I suddenly realized that if I had the player, a solo player for each movement, and that player would stand up in place, where she usually sits, doesn't come forward as a soloist usually does beside the conductor, just stands up in place. And I thought that would be, it's unusual, but I thought that would be very dramatic and hopefully would be exciting also for the player, because I think that musicians play differently when they stand to when they sit. They become more soloistic, which
Yes.
is what this work is about. So I hope that people like that. However, I have one sort of non-musical thing to tell you, which might be interesting. I remember when the BBC eventually did it, and there was a young tuba player who was going to join the orchestra. So this work was sort of part of his audition in a
Audition.
way. And so I watched him and heard him play in the rehearsal. And then I went up to him in the break and I said, "You've just played absolutely beautifully, but there are some non-musical things I think you should pay attention to. First of all, you should not be standing at the beginning of the movement, because then nobody will really see you standing. But if you are sitting and then stand, everybody in the orchestra, in the audience, will notice you and see you. And also, at the end of the movement, you sit down, obviously. Don't immediately bring your music stand down to the comfortable place for to play when you're sitting. Wait until the next movement begins, because you need to have have the accolade of you having performed that. So you sit down and you wait. Then the next movement starts, and people's attention will go there. Then you put your music stand down into place for you to play. It sounds silly, but he was so anxious and inexperienced that he put his music stand down immediately. He'd stopped playing, and it sort of ruined it. Well, he didn't, of course,
Well,
but you know what I mean.
well, Thea, that's speaks to your sense of drama. You've written so many
Well, I
wonderful
wanted the
operas.
attention to be on him, you know, so he can
Yeah,
sit down and then wait, and
yeah.
then the next movement starts. So then he,
Fantastic. So
watching it with the
it,
music stand.
it's quite choreographed, actually. It's fantastic. And I have to say, we have an orchestra where people play for the love of it. They
Oh, that's great.
work very hard, and we often have these brilliant young soloists who are either early career or about to emerge in a career, and we're all very excited about them. But to give the orchestra players their own chance to stand up and be the soloists, and so many of them, has just been fantastic. So that's a
Oh, good.
wonderful idea, and it's
It's difficult.
working.
I hope they're having fun with that.
Well, they are. They are. They're working hard. Um,
Yes.
it was he spoke of the tuba player, and the tuba player of the Boston Symphony, Mike Roylance. I know, and
Yeah.
a friend of mine. I called him for advice on a young tuba player who could play it
Oh,
because I was looking for somebody, and he said, "Yes, I remember that well. It was my trial year in the Boston Symphony."
oh,
And I was as nervous as
wow.
well,
Oh
but
boy.
Oh,
I
wow.
remember how beautifully he did it. It was
The
stunning.
orchestra was just wonderful. But also, Boston has a wonderful hall where they
Yes,
play. The
yeah,
acoustic is
That
just
helps.
wonderful. Yeah.
we certainly do. So back to the question about your American friends. Uh,
Yeah.
how did this piece connect with those friends? Why did you
Well,
choose to do that?
Uh, there were certain American friends that I thought would be fun to dedicate it to,
Right.
and I don't know why I quite chose. The last movement actually is about a fog, so of course I had to dedicate it to Anthony Fogg, the
Yeah,
manager, who
you
is
know, I
unfortunately is a friend. I mean, he's a wonderful colleague, but
But
I
he
don't know him
commissioned
very
it.
well. But all the others are great friends, and so the burning of the Houses of Parliament in London were my friends who are British, who were on the board of Virginia Opera. So because they're British, I gave them that movement. I forget why I chose other
no, no, that's all right.
movements.
But it's interesting that you had that. Well, of course, you were born in Scotland. You moved to the United States eventually.
Yeah.
Peter had something to do with that, and but
Not originally.
yeah, really,
That's why she stayed.
I see. Well, that's good.
How we met.
Oh,
So
how
He
we met.
said I had something to do with that, but you were actually recruited by the University of California at Santa Barbara to come take Peter Racine Fricker's place
When he
when,
went on sabbatical.
yeah.
So, I wasn't husband hunting. I was living with somebody in London. I wasn't married, but I was not husband hunting. And I met him,
She came for
and
3
things
months.
changed in a flash.
I should say, well, it was fortuitous for both of you. You're a wonderful pair, and just beacons of music and life and energy
But
and
I didn't know when we first got married. I thought, Peter was living in Santa Barbara, and I thought, Santa Barbara is one of the most beautiful places on earth, but I don't think it's a place where you can really build a musical career, So I said, come to England. Well, he didn't like England that much, but nevertheless, he got a job at the Royal Northern College in Manchester. And so, he had work, and then he met other students and so on and so on. But then, quite unexpectedly, came the chance. Actually, this story is sort of funny. You can cut it out, obviously, one. I always had a rule. I said, we're going to fight, and that's okay. I think we have to fight to sort things out, but we must always go to bed in peace. So, usually we did that. But one evening we did not do that. So he went to sleep in the other room, and I therefore was in the room with the telephone. And the telephone rang at 3 a.m. So I picked it up and I said, what the excuse my language, are you calling me at 3 a.m.? Oh, this is a friend of ours, Dave. And he said, I got the time changed the wrong way round. Well, this was the beginning of Virginia Opera. So Peter said, but I'd never run an opera company before. I said, get the fuck over there and do that. You know?
So, I mean, I knew opera because I'd sung at the Met for 3 years.
Yeah, yeah.
As a kid, as
Yeah.
a soprano.
Yeah,
Oh.
but I had all the solo roles, and I heard all these great voices in the mid-50s, so I loved it. So,
Yeah, so anyway,
in any
that's
case-
another
Well,
story.
that was a match made in heaven for sure. Both of you have interfaced and worked off of each other's creativity and energy so beautifully. Anyway, back to the piece. Why did you choose the Turner paintings? What significance does Turner have for you?
Turner, I think, I don't know if he's my favorite painter, but he certainly is one of my favorite painters. And usually when I go to London, I always go to that exhibition where you have one room which is all Turner
Shape
paintings.
art.
I just love it. I love his work and I love what he does. And so I think it was just in my mind that, and I had done a work which was based on paintings before. I forget what it was called, but it was based on different paintings and stuff. So I thought, this would be fun to do. And then I suddenly,
Oh, yeah, it was the one on Beethoven.
no.
No.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so, then I started writing, and then I suddenly thought one day, I can dedicate these to friends. And
Yeah.
so, but that wasn't really part of the composition. That was
Right.
just after the thing.
But you chose the paintings because they had a particular impact on you, of course, and
Yeah.
then
And then she chose the order of them specifically for what she wanted in each of the movements.
yeah. Well, it
Notice
works,
one of the movements has 3.
right?
One has 3 paintings.
Yeah.
I know.
Because of the storm, and then the loss of life, and then the mourning that happens. Yeah.
Yeah, the whole suite is beautifully constructed. Each movement, of course, but there's a beautiful interplay among them.
Yeah. I had a lot of fun doing it. I really loved doing it. And, then inserting God Save Our Gracious King, Queen, whatever, it was Queen then, into the British paintings and so on.
And the
I just
Marseillaise.
doing it.
Yeah. No, we're challenged, of course, doing it. It's going the performances are this coming weekend in about 5 days,
Oh, good.
and it will peak as it does, and I think we'll have a wonderful experience. But it's been a journey for us to I don't
What
know,
was wonderful was this
grow
man, who
to
I don't know, wrote the sort of program note about the paintings. And I'm
Yes.
so grateful for him because I don't know who did Ellen find him? Our friend Roger and Ellen Gold are from Boston.
Right,
And
right.
so they were very involved with this. So maybe, I don't know. But anyway, I was so grateful to him to write the note about the paintings so that, if the program notes are available to the audience, they can learn about the paintings. I love
yes,
that.
and we'll be projecting the paintings on screens.
Oh, wonderful.
I
Yes,
know.
That's
Boston
even
did
better.
that.
So-
Boston did. They managed to put the screen up above the orchestra. And so it was there and they didn't have to have lights on their stand. It was okay.
Yeah.
And so they showed the picture for, I don't know, a minute or so. Not the whole thing, but I think they lit it up for, a little while so people could see the painting. It was
Well, one
wonderful.
commentator said that the special thing about describing a painting in music is that the painting is a fixed moment in time, and the musical work
Music.
described the before and after as well as that moment. And you do that so beautifully, and there's such imagination in what you've chosen to do. Great. Well, I just want to ask finally if you have any advice for the musicians in terms of, engaging with your music and what they might be emphasizing in their own work and expression, and also then
Well,
the audience, the listeners.
I think that hopefully I did that by having them stand.
Yes. Oh,
So
yes.
rather than sit, and so that they should really play like a soloist and get into the feeling of the whole thing, and be quite dramatic about it, and hopefully, I'm not sure I could say comfortable because it's difficult, but it should
Well,
appear to be comfortable, even though they're being very dramatic.
right. That's
I
fantastic.
have some advice
Oh, watch
that I
out.
know is what she wants, knowing her as long as I do know and having conducted her operas. You know that a lot of her instrumental works have instrumentalists as persona, as though they were opera characters, and they interchange and interact with people.
Right.
I believe Thea has always heard music as a discussion between different dramatic characters. And so it's not just the soloists that she would want to give that advice to, but to really let every member of the orchestra know that they are serving a function in terms of the dramatic interaction of the music, and that they can really find that color and mood as they listen to how their part fits in with everyone else, and really take part in the drama, not just give it up to the soloist in each movement. Because that's what makes her work really exciting, is the energy that the whole orchestra gives.
That's wonderful advice. And sometimes that's written in the score that the soloist should turn to another section, and there should be an actual interplay between those sections. But as I think the whole orchestra does kind of, it is very operatic for sure, Peter, and I appreciate that comment.
She writes very clearly. She doesn't like Brahms because he doubles everything, and she never told me that before we got married. Otherwise, I would have considered whether this was safe.
As a violist, I can understand why you would say that.
Right. But the thing is that she hears the colors so cleanly, she would never double that way. And that's why every member of the orchestra can feel that they're a soloist, and that she has given them a line that she expected to be heard in combination with what is playing simultaneously, as well as being part of the overall motion of the movement. So I definitely think she's a very dramatic composer, even when she's not writing her operas or ballets.
Okay, Thea, you have a chance for a rebuttal, but I don't think you're going to.
Yeah, he knows me really well.
Yeah, that comes through in your music so beautifully. And finally, would you have any thoughts for listeners in terms of what they might, how they might involve themselves in the music even more than without?
Well, if you have the paintings shown, I think that's absolutely wonderful, because they can see the painting and therefore can see what it's all about. And particularly is it the second movement, which has 3 paintings, or is that the third movement? I can't remember. The second movement. That you see the story of what happens. And then that last painting is so moving, with this empty beach and this dog waiting for the master who never returns. I mean, tears come to my eyes when I see that picture.
I agree.
And, yeah.
Our whole program is we begin with the Portsmouth Point of Walton. It's a short overture that's also inspired by an etching of revelry and frolicsome movement in British sailors and so forth. And then the last work is the Enigma variation. So I feel that those works also speak to each other very well. And,
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you so much, and we'll hope we'll do our best to do justice to your wonderful masterpiece. And in any case,
Do
we'll
let me know how it goes.
we'll
Let
love
me
it.
know.
We'll send you a recording, and you can determine that yourself. But I'm sure it will be a very
All
satisfying.
the soloists, in the orchestra my very best wishes, and I hope that they enjoy it.
Thank
I
you.
really hope they enjoy it.
Thank you very much.